Vincent Marshall. Everyone wanted to be him, but few could bear the weight of his success. Every woman dreamed of being by his side, but his cold gaze and reserved smile made it clear that he was not interested in such things. His influence crossed oceans, his name was known in all business circles, and his face graced the covers of magazines from Tokyo to London. But only a few knew his story. Hidden from the public, the enigmatic Vincent was the subject of rumors and gossip. No one knew where he came from, where he lived, and most importantly, why he was so jealous of his secrets. His past was a closed book, but everyone wanted to at least look into it. Emma Hunter sat on the floor of her small apartment, sorting through bills that had not been paid for months. Suddenly, there was a loud knock. She flinched, expecting the worst, and went to the door. The owner stood before her, his stern expression leaving no room for doubt. "Emma, I need the money, and I don't care where you get it from," he said firmly. "Sam, I'm having trouble with my job, but I'm trying, really. Give me another month," she tried to argue. "Another month? Do you know how many months you owe me already?" He frowned even more. Emma nodded, looking down. "Until the end of the month, or you'll have to find another place to live," he said coldly and left, leaving her completely confused. When the door closed, Emma was alone in her small room, feeling the weight of every unpaid bill. She didn't even have money for food, and had been surviving on instant noodles for the past month. She yearned for her past, for the comfortable job of a cook's assistant that she had to give up because of an unworthy offer from her boss. The phone rang, interrupting her reverie. The number was unfamiliar, and she hesitated before answering. "Hello, Miss Hunter. My name is Iris Carter. I would like to discuss an offer I know you can't refuse." The voice on the other end of the line was calm and confident. "But I'm not sure I understand. I didn't send a resume." "Don't worry about it. Your references speak for themselves," Iris replied with a slight smile. "Can we meet?" "Okay. Name a place," Emma muttered, not quite understanding what was going on, but a voice inside her told her that meeting this mysterious woman was an opportunity worth taking. "I'll come to your house, and we'll discuss everything there," Iris replied. And so the day of the meeting arrived. "Emma, it's nice to meet you." Iris shook her hand and asked if she could come in. "We have a project, and we need someone with your skills and intelligence." Emma wondered what kind of offer this woman could make her. "What project?" "We're working with Vincent Marshall. He has a personal request. We need someone to act as a nanny," Iris said, looking at her intently. Emma felt a slight thrill at the sound of the name. Vincent Marshall was an almost mythical figure, his name associated with luxury, wealth, and power. "Why me? I don't have that kind of experience," Emma said doubtfully. "You don't need anything more than talent and drive. Plus, Mr. Marshall likes your background. He values people who aren't afraid to start from scratch," Iris replied confidently. Emma tried to hide her surprise and, frankly, a little worry. The sudden appearance of Iris and her guards seemed odd to her and made her wonder what kind of trouble she had gotten herself into. Iris smiled softly and nodded briefly to the man behind her, motioning for him to remain by the door. She entered, looked around the cramped room, and without waiting for an invitation, confidently walked up to the table, sat down, and motioned for Emma to take the chair next to her. "I need to discuss a few details with you regarding your new duties," she began, crossing her legs slightly and watching Emma's reaction carefully. "Of course," Emma replied, trying to keep a calm expression on her face. Iris smiled approvingly, but her eyes were serious. "You may think you know exactly what's coming, but that's not entirely true," she said. "In fact, this job will require a lot more from you than just childcare. This contract and pay aren't arbitrary, and I need to make sure you're truly prepared for what's coming." Emma, feeling a slight chill down her spine, tried to hide her worry and asked with firm confidence, "What responsibilities await me?" And watching Emma's reaction carefully. "Of course," Emma replied, trying to keep a calm expression. "I'll try to prepare. I'm almost all packed already." Iris smiled approvingly, but her eyes were serious. Iris leaned in a little closer and continued, almost in a whisper, as if revealing a secret. You will live in complete seclusion, away from any close relationships and essentially under supervision. The house you will move into will have rules that you will have to strictly adhere to. And since you signed a contract, this is not just a request. Emma felt a slight worry, but asked carefully, I just don't understand why such measures are necessary. Because of the child? Because of the child and his guardian, Iris confirmed, her eyes darkening for a moment. He is a man, special, and you will be one of the few who will be part of his inner circle. Emma listened carefully, considering her words. This was beginning to sound like something much more serious than just a nanny job. But remembering the number on the contract, she nodded decisively, deciding that no matter how difficult it was, she could do it. Iris nodded in satisfaction, then handed her a small package. This is your new phone. It already has all the contacts you need, as well as access to the home's security systems. You will be there from tomorrow, and your instructions will describe everything. The main thing to remember is that your job is not to ask questions, but simply to follow instructions. Emma nodded, accepting the phone. She knew that this was her only chance, and she was ready to do anything to take advantage of it. Her life was about to change dramatically, and somewhere deep inside she was afraid. But there was nowhere to retreat. Iris, noticing her determination, stood up and added as a parting word, I see that you made the right decision. Tomorrow your new life begins, Emma. We will take care of you, and you will take care of us. Emma felt everything inside her collapse. The suddenness of this decision and the strange conditions made her wary. Right now, she asked, trying not to betray the alarm in her voice. But I haven't packed everything yet. You said I could take my things. Iris smiled, her gaze calm but stern, like a person accustomed to unquestioning obedience. Don't worry, we will pack everything you need. You only need to take a bag with the most essential things and documents. As I said, she glanced around the room, you won't need the rest. Emma nodded, feeling that there was no point in refusing or protesting. She was being followed by bodyguards in black, which only added to her tension. She quickly packed a small bag, taking a few sets of clothes, her passport, a couple of photos and her phone, then walked over to Iris, suppressing a slight shudder. Here, she said, reaching for the bag, that's all I really need. Iris nodded approvingly and motioned for her to follow her. One of the bodyguards took Emma's bag and the other followed, making sure the door to the apartment closed behind them. A black SUV with tinted windows waiting outside, hiding what was inside. Emma climbed in, trying not to look tense, and sat in the seat next to Iris. As the car pulled away, Iris turned to Emma, watching her carefully. Emma, you have to understand that this job is going to require your full dedication. For the next few months, you will be immersed in a world unlike anything you have ever known. Along the way, we will tell you some rules and restrictions. The main thing you must remember is complete confidentiality. You cannot tell anyone what will happen in the house. You also cannot communicate with strangers. Emma only nodded, feeling how the situation was becoming more and more mysterious. This did not feel like a nanny job, more like some kind of task, where she was just a pawn in someone's complex game. Iris, reading her worried look, added, You can do it. You have everything you need to complete this task. And the reward for this, as you already know, will turn your life upside down. Emma tried to understand what she was getting ready for, but her head was full of questions. And so we drove up to a luxurious mansion, and on the porch stood a little girl named Thea. Our first meeting went well, we got acquainted, and it seemed to me that we liked each other. I smiled at Thea, glad that our conversation was gradually improving. The girl clearly lacked warmth and care. It seemed that she needed not just a nanny, but someone who would become her friend. The next morning, it was necessary to establish contact with Thea. Let me show you the kitchen, I said, getting out of bed and taking Thea's hand. Her small hand was warm and trusting, which caused a slight wave of tenderness in me. We walked along a wide corridor, heading towards the kitchen. The interior here was increasingly reminiscent of a palace, rich wood paneling, massive chandeliers, and even the paintings on the walls looked old and expensive. "It's very beautiful here, isn't it?" I asked Thea, who was looking around with interest. "Yes," she nodded, hesitating for a moment, "but sometimes it seems too quiet here." We approached the kitchen, spacious and full of the latest technology. I took out the necessary ingredients and quickly got to work. Thea stood nearby, curiously watching my every move. "Want to help me?" I asked, smiling. Her eyes lit up. "May I?" "Of course. Here's a spoon, and here are the strawberries. Can you cut them into small pieces?" I suggested, handing her a small plastic spoon so as not to hurt herself. The girl set to work with a serious look, and I began to work on the dough. As we were cooking, Thea suddenly confided, "I like that you don't yell at me. The other nannies were mean." "You know what? I would never be mean to you," I said quietly, feeling Thea slowly opening up to me. I patted her back reassuringly. A few minutes later, I was serving golden brown pancakes that smelled like vanilla and chocolate. Thea clapped her hands in delight as I topped them with chocolate syrup and strawberry slices. "Thank you, Emma. These look delicious," she said happily, and we both sat at the kitchen island to enjoy our breakfast. While Thea ate her pancakes, she began telling me about her favorite books and cartoons. I listened attentively, amazed at how smart and funny this little girl was. It seemed that all the previous nannies simply could not see her charm. We were finishing breakfast when Iris suddenly appeared in the kitchen. Her gaze was as cold as always, but an approving smile flickered across her face as she watched Thea and I quietly eat our breakfast. "Thea, Emma, I hope you enjoyed meeting me," Iris said, her gaze lingering on me. "We are all ready to begin today. Thea, please wait for me in the living room. Emma, we will talk soon." Thea obediently stood up and left, and I felt the tension rising again. I shook my head inwardly, trying to drive away wild speculation. The idea of possibly being involved with Vincent Marshall was not just strange, it was even ridiculous. But my intuition told me that there was definitely something hidden here. The surroundings and the people around Thea all looked like a carefully planned security for someone very important. "Flour, can I have some more chocolate syrup?" Thea distracted me by pushing her plate towards me. "Sure," I smiled, adding more syrup to her pancakes. "Listen, Flour, that sounds nice, but let's do it this way. If I'm Flour, you'll be… maybe the sun?" Thea nodded happily, a happy smile lighting up her face. "The sun. I like it." I suddenly caught myself thinking that this nickname suited her very well. Her sincere, warm eyes and the trust with which she looked at me made her look like a small sun, warming this huge cold house. While she was devouring her breakfast, I forgot about my doubts and the mystery of everything that was happening for a while. When Thea had finished her last bite, Iris entered the kitchen, calm and reserved as always. "Thea, you have drawing lessons now. Remember," she reminded me with a slight smile. Thea reluctantly pushed her plate away and looked at me. "Will you come and watch me draw, Flour?" "Of course, sunshine. I'll be there," I assured her, feeling my affection for this little girl growing with every passing minute. When she disappeared through the door with Iris, I was alone in the kitchen again. Thoughts of T's father and this place haunted me. Should I just play the role of a caring nanny without asking questions? Or was I brought into this world for a purpose? I barely had time to think about it before Iris returned and motioned for me to come over. Her gaze was stern, and she seemed to see right through me. "There are a few things you need to know, Emma," she began, and I tensed, waiting for her to say it. "Let's just say that there are certain rules in this house that are important to follow." "What rules exactly?" I asked, trying to look calm, although inside I was seething with curiosity. "First of all, you are not allowed to enter the west wing of the house. It is closed to everyone except guards and important people." Iris paused for a moment, watching my reaction carefully. "Secondly, if you see or hear anything strange, forget about it. Anything related to the work of this house must stay here. Do you understand? I nodded, feeling my imagination already running wild. The forbidden West Wing, the rules, and the caution in speaking, all this seemed to refer to some secret society, or at least to a life full of hidden secrets. Okay, Iris. I understand, I replied, trying to maintain the appearance of calm. Iris nodded in satisfaction, but her eyes were still distrustful. Then good luck, Emma. You have a long and difficult job ahead of you. With that, she left again, leaving me alone with my thoughts. After talking with Iris, thoughts of rules and prohibitions did not leave me. Intuition told me that there was something much more to this than just working in the house of a rich family. I shook my head, trying to focus on my duties, but the feeling of mystery did not go away. The next day, when I took Thea to class, I suddenly became curious who was behind all this. If Thea's father really was an influential man, why did he entrust his daughter to a virtually unknown woman, and himself remained in the shadows? With these thoughts, I headed to the living room, full of huge paintings and expensive, but austere decorations. And then I noticed him. A man entered the high doorway leading to the hall, and despite the distance, I immediately felt his presence. Tall, with dark hair, a confident posture, and slightly narrowed eyes, his appearance was simultaneously frightening and fascinating.